here's the thing, is that listen to that song. We all were made to burn bright. And it's not just an affirmation. And it's not an egomaniacal thing. It's not that I have to be rich and famous to protect myself. Not everybody wants to be rich and famous and they're burning bright. I'll tell you what burning bright is. It's every time you have a healing of thought. It's every time you decide to accept your divinity. It really has so little to do with what you do. It has so little to do with what people think of you, with how you are perceived in the world. It has nothing to do with your ego. And we're not here to hate the ego. We're here to love God and love ourselves and love each other. Man, that's a high calling. Imagine that my job today is to love God, to love myself, and love all of you. Love all of them. To look in the mirror and love Him. Oh, but I weigh this amount. I weigh too much to love myself. I don't have enough hair to love myself. My parents, if I were lovable, my parents wouldn't have treated me the way they did. If I were lovable and worthy, some others wouldn't have treated me the way they did. And if I were lovable and worthy, I wouldn't have treated myself the way I did. If I were lovable and worthy, I wouldn't treat some others the way I have. That's not true. I am lovable and worthy. All are welcomed. All are welcomed. And I know on this planet, all behaviors are not. But in the kingdom of heaven, which is in the realm of divine ideals, behaviors don't matter at all. Behaviors aren't even considered as worthiness into the kingdom. And we're not talking about when we die. We're talking about the next idea. The next time we accept the kingdom, not into our mind. Or no, not into another place, but into our own mind. Imagine that. To accept the kingdom in my mind, not to worry whether or not somebody else deems me worthy of being in the kingdom because I have behaved well. The only thing that blocks me, really, from my entry into the kingdom in my mind is my unforgiveness. And unforgiveness covers and spans a big area. It's not just about who I hate, who I'm afraid of. It's about money. It's about my own body. It's about my past. It's about the floor and the ceiling. It's about every blemish that I use to distract me from my own divinity. So in the 12 steps, the 6th step, in the 4th there's a moral inventory, and the 5th is we're admitting it to God, to ourselves, to the human being, that moral inventory. And then the 6th is what they talk about, character defects. We were entirely ready to have God remove these defects of character. And my understanding, and I got this in prayer one day, is I do not have multiple defects. I have multiple symptoms. I do not have I have one defect, and it is my unwillingness to accept my divinity. It's my only defect of character. Believe me, if I did that, there'd be no problem. Without it, become a liar, a thief, gossip, one who criticizes, one who judges, one who lowers my vibration in my unwillingness to accept my divinity, my perfection, my gloriousness. Imagine if I were to interrupt just the judgments of myself, let alone the ones about you. If I were to interrupt those judgments about myself and say, you know what, maybe those aren't true. Maybe it's not true what I've been thinking about myself. Even the stuff I like, maybe that's not true. Maybe I've been limiting myself by thinking about the stuff I like. Now, granted, it's a good start. You'll find everything you can possibly like about yourself. It is a very good start, but it's not all that you are. And what you like about someone else certainly isn't all that they are. Was it my teacher Edwin Gaines says, the only people I have to forgive are the ones who don't agree with me. Everybody else is doing just fine. Those ones that don't agree with me, aren't they annoying? Oh man, they spend my day distracting me. What if it's good that they don't agree with me and I haven't been thinking on that term? What if it's great that they don't agree with me because it forces me to look more deeply? I was talking to somebody this week, and I can't remember who was having difficulties with some, gosh, I'm going blank now. Because it wasn't my problem, that's why. Usually when people come to me with their stuff, as soon as we talk about it, I let it go. I forget about it because I don't want to hold them to that condition. It was at the conference. I was in Albuquerque, the annual Unity Conference this week. So I was talking with someone, and they were talking about judgments. I have no idea. If it comes back to me, I'll let you know. In our diminishing of our divinity, because I think I have to create my divinity in my arrogance. I think I'm creating my divinity through good works, through changing my thought, through forgiveness. No, that's just clearing the way to seeing it, to accepting it. My divinity has already been established, and your divinity has already been established, and their divinity has already been established. The divinity unto itself is already established. Let's be clear on this. I'm not creating divinity here. I'm not creating perfection here. I don't create health. I don't create wealth. I don't create peace. I don't create joy. I reveal it, and I accept it into my conscious mind. And that's how I am welcomed into the kingdom, is by revealing it. Just saying yes to it. Sometimes I have to ask myself, do I even want it? Because it sure looks like I don't. 6 times a day at least. It sure looks like I don't even want it. Like I think my confusion is preferable. And let me tell you how I know this. Because I have a lot more conversations about worry and confusion than I do my divinity. How about you? You going to work and talking about your divinity? Do you watch TV and have thoughts about your divinity? Do you go into therapy and talk about your divinity? Do you drive down I-95 in a traffic jam thinking, my divinity is so great? Do you do that? Was anybody coming down 95 towards the festival yesterday thinking about divinity? Or were they thinking about traffic from exit 19 to 15? Think about your divinity more. Think about your divinity. I want to read this to you. Favorite book, Holy Spirit's interpretation of the New Testament. And this comes from Acts, chapter 16. I had a teacher once who said the book of Acts, and it said Jesus asked him to. This starts in verse 16. The welcome you see in your brothers and sisters, and the welcome you see in God, is the welcome you give to your brothers and sisters, and the welcome you give to God. Already it's saying there is no difference between how you welcome God and how you welcome your brothers and sisters. There is no difference. We may think we love God, but if I do not love my brothers and sisters, I ain't so wild about God. I'm just pretending. This is the bear of spiritual work, is it's all one. We don't have to hate ourselves because we're not there yet. But we need to wake up. We need to wake up if we want the peace we say we want. There is no difference in your brothers and sisters and you. And there is no difference in your feelings for your brothers and sisters and your feelings for God. You will find hatred in your brother, and you will find hatred in your feelings for him. This is because there is hatred in you for God. This is why you do not give God full welcome into yourself now. Hatred is born of fear, and fear is born of guilt. And guilt is the belief that you are unworthy in God's love. Because you believe you're unworthy, you believe that God deems you unworthy too. We're clear in here. We're giving motive to God now. Maybe not everybody here, but I'm willing to bet that there's a substantial percentage that thinks because I think I'm unworthy, God thinks I'm unworthy. God doesn't think. Because you believe you are unworthy, you believe that God deems you unworthy too, and so you do not give welcome to God because you do not expect God to give welcome to you. This is the prison you are in. It is a prison of belief and expectations born within the imagination of your mind based upon what you imagine yourself to be. I have come to show you another way to see. I am willing to meet you within your prison and show you that you are free even there. I am willing to walk with you to lead you from your prison that you may learn to know God's love. As you see the welcome God has given you within the prison that you placed yourself in, you shall see the welcome God gives you in all things that you can imagine, given to you unconditionally. Knowing your Father's welcome must set you free, for no longer can you pretend that you are not welcome. No longer can you hold on to your desire not to welcome God. To know your Father's welcome is to be welcome, and to be welcome is to be free. This is why I ask you to walk with me. This is why I ask you to trust me in all things. You do not know that you are free, and so you believe that you are in a prison. I see your freedom because I know God's welcome. Come with me, and I will show you God's welcome to you, and then you will know it and rejoice because you are free. You will rejoice. Imagine a day, every day, that you can rejoice and have a good time. Years ago, no secret here, I'm in 12-step recovery. And I had to make my amends process. And I was a little frightened of it because I had done some things. And I worked in a nightclub for many years. Don't tell Mama, in the city. I did lights and sound. And frequently, if I was going to a party or something, I needed to take a gift. And what better gift than a bottle of champagne out of the walk-in downstairs? A better gift. Always with the thought, oh, well, I'll just replace it. But, no. You can tell yourself, oh, well, I'll replace that. But I didn't. Now, I got sober. Suddenly I want to be clear. I want to be free. I was willing to do anything it took. And we're not talking about to not drink again. That was just the beginning. I wanted to live sober. And live sober is really a strong relationship in God and trust that if I clean myself up and clean my life up, do my part, I will know what to do with life. And I won't have to fear life. And I won't have to live in guilt in life. Those are the promises made to me. I wouldn't have to hurt myself. So with all those, I have no idea how many bottles it was at this point. I think I counted 8 or 9 in my head. And I kept thinking, well, I'll just go out and buy it and put it back in there. Or I'll just throw the money in the safe and nobody will know better. And somehow I kept not doing it. Now, what's that about? Because I had to go to my employer and let him know. I had to rethink. Amends means to rethink, and I didn't want to think of myself as a thief anymore, or as someone who was getting away with something. Because that's what it would have been. I would have just gotten away with it. Except in my own mind. So, I went to him. If I was 33 at the time, he would have been 33 Vietnamese man, who I said, can I talk to you? And he said, yeah. And I said, we sat down, and I said, I don't drink anymore, and I'm working on sobriety. And I said, and I have given you many reasons to distrust me. Most of it was my attitude. And he said, well, I believe in giving everybody a chance. Shawn, I said, thank you. I said, now here's the thing that scares me. I've stolen from you. I took all these bottles of wine, and I want to give it back. And I said, I'll run to the store right now and buy them all and bring them back. I'll give you the cash, whatever you think is right. And he said, well, I'll tell you what. Let me see what my cost is. and you would just pay me that. I said, well, that's very nice. And he said, no, I don't know right now, so I had to wait a few days. I couldn't just keep it clean. But as he walked away, I could see a key in my hand. And I saw a door swinging open. And what I saw was that I had put myself in prison. And I had freely passed out keys to other people. I'd given so many keys to my cell away. But I was the only one that could claim them back. And it broke my heart a little bit, but it was so reassuring that, oh, there's nothing that cannot be forgiven if I change my mind about it. You see, I'm welcome in the kingdom. I'm never not welcome in the kingdom. Never. But I can stand out here pretending I am. I can stand out here thinking I'm a liar and a thief. But I'm not a liar and a thief. I have behaved. That's one of the symptoms of not accepting my divinity, is when one steals, one thinks there is not enough. When one judges, one thinks one is not enough. When one gossips and criticizes, one thinks one is not enough. When one plans for less than what they are worthy of, one thinks one is not enough. But if one thinks one is enough, I can come to you and say, I stole from you, and I'm really sorry, and I want to correct this. I have lied about you, and I'm sorry, and I really want to correct this. I have done things that were not appropriate, and I want to correct this. And it doesn't matter what their response is. That's not important. The important part is that I have set myself free enough to own it and to rethink it so that I would never again have to think of myself as a liar and a thief and any of the other symptoms that go along with the forgetting or the unwillingness to acknowledge one's divinity. So you see, I'm free to burn bright. You're free to burn bright. Every single one of you. Free to burn bright in your divinity. Because none of us are as we have behaved. We just forgot. And granted, many of us didn't have adults to remind us of our light because they had forgotten. And that doesn't matter. And I'm proof of it. I am proof, my life is proof that I have the ability to remember even if they, whoever they are, have forgotten. And I have the ability to remember that you are a divine being. I can remember it. I can remember it. There are lights in my life that remind me when I forget. And I hope I can be one to remind you when you forget. And if I should forget while you're forgetting too, I'll apologize in advance. But neither one of us need feel guilt about it. Each of us here today are free to burn bright. Go ahead. Ask Holy Spirit, how is it mine to burn bright today? Could I burn bright because I have forgiven myself? Could I burn bright because I have forgiven my mother and my father? Could I burn bright because I have forgiven my neighbor on my left and my neighbor on my right? Would I burn bright because I have forgiven my body? Would I burn bright because I have forgiven my money? Would I burn bright because I have forgiven the government? Would I burn bright because I have forgiven all my opinions that don't matter in the least? Would I burn bright because I can? Just because I can. And today, I'm remembering to. Today, I remember to burn bright. Would you say that with me? Today, I remember to burn bright. Let's say it again. Today, I remember to burn bright. And today, I remember to burn bright. Welcome to the kingdom.